Joe Biden talks about personally sanctioning Vladimir Putin. Listen to this.
See yourself personally sanctioning him if he did invade Ukraine?
Yes.
You would?
I would see that.
Russia has said, as we told you in the show, that sanctions from the U.S. would be, quote, destructive to the U.S. So sanctions on Russia by the United States would be, quote, destructive to the U.S. Now, you may ask yourself, how? And that is a serious question. But there is one area, oil and natural gas.
Oil and gas expert company saying because of the lack of pipeline, in fact, the Biden administration closing down pipelines, it's harder to get the gas to these various areas that need the gas. So what happens? Well, you're relying on who? Russia.
We talk about all these massive sanctions that can be crippling. Why not start putting them into place to show the Russians that we can do that? And my concern is that because we've had a lack of cooperation in Europe and NATO, that maybe we don't have the ability to put those sanctions in place?
We should be putting them in place now with a message to Putin, stand down your forces and de-escalate, and we'll lift these sanctions. But I think the bigger issue is that the largest economy in Europe, Germany, isn't going to be on board. For sanctions to work, there has to be consensus, and they have to be in dollars and euros. And I do not see the Germans getting on board. Heck, they won't even agree to send any lethal aid right now to Ukraine or even allow their airspace to be used for it.
We can't even say what would happen because, again, when I say a sanctions regime, what I mean is that you've got these countries on board with you. So that Dmitry Peskov can't just say, if you want to just try to sanction me, we have no assets massively in the U.S. anyways. But I know where they do have assets moving through Europe, through Germany, through their pipeline.
The fact that the United States of America's diplomatic corps answered questions in writing propounded by the Russian government, as if we're in a civil or criminal case and we're answering depositions or interrogatories. And we're the United States of America, and we're answering the Russians in writing their questions? It seems to me to be preposterous.
Well, it is preposterous. And by the way, they just delivered that document to Congress, but they classified it. So why is it classified here in the United States when we put it in the hands of the Russians? And they'll spin it for their own propaganda, yet we can't reply because they classified it on there. And so once again, we're giving our adversaries more latitude than our fellow Americans. But you're right. I mean, I am far more concerned about what Biden is conceding. We saw this playbook under Obama when Putin invaded Crimea and Ukraine. We saw this playbook under Obama when every time the Iranians got tough, the White House conceded more. And I really fear what they just put in that document. I hope to see it tomorrow.
This isn't litigation. This is diplomacy. And we're responding in writing. So we reject answer 2. We don't like answer 3. Answer 4 was okay because she told us you could let us invade a little bit. I mean, it's ridiculous.
We have a pusillanimous, weak, feckless president who is engaging in a tete-a-tete with these Russians, giving them answers on paper, and then they look at the answers and they say, well, they may be destructive, but they're not going to be painful or painful and destructive, or you sanction me, and I'm not too happy with what you wrote. I may have to ask you to write it back to me again. What kind of stuff is this? Are we in kindergarten?
Elections have consequences. You are watching the consequences. The United States of America is answering the Russians in writing.
Every president faces lots of tough issues. We didn't have to be here. I mean, the U.S. did not have to be in this position, whether it's Afghanistan, Russia, China. This is not the posture we had to be in.
No, you're absolutely right. These are self-inflicted wounds, bad policy decisions. I don't know how we make it through another 3 years, but the same team around Biden was around Obama that thought the Iran deal was a good thing. The Bergdahl trade was a good thing. Benghazi, Crimea, South China Sea, the giveaway to Cuba.
Yeah.
The hits will keep on coming.
The United States is answering questions in writing propounded by the Russian government. The Chinese gave the United States a list of 3 priorities on Thursday that it has to be met. Those priorities have to be met for continued bilateral negotiations. At the same time, the Biden administration decides to shut down pipelines for natural gas in the United States of America when we were finally energy independent. And now we're going to Qatar and the UAE and these other Gulf state partners to get them to produce more so we don't end up just relying on who? Russia.
I know we're talking about Russia and Ukraine, but China has also said that things have gotten much better under the Biden administration when it comes to much more, quote, they've sent more positive signals than those received under President Trump. And then what does China do? A list of demands. The U.S. should stop interfering in the Beijing Winter Olympics, stop playing fire on the Taiwan issue, and stop creating various, I love this one, anti-China cliques to contain China. So the U.S. is receiving demands from Russia, from China. We're not issuing the demands. We're receiving demands.